The Real Jail Experiment, Part 3. The OGs take control. Day 1 ends, but the real test starts on Day 2. The shock of open doors is gone. The adrenaline has burned out. Now it is just men living side by side with no deputy inside the glass. When freedom turns into routine, the question changes. It is no longer, can we handle this? It becomes, who runs this? That answer comes fast. The OGs step forward. Not with paperwork, not with official titles. They step forward the way they always do in places where structure collapses. With presence, with reputation, with the unspoken weight of time already served. Every pod has them. The older heads. The men who have seen lockdowns stretch months. The men who have buried friends behind bars. The men who have learned the rhythm of survival the hard way. When the young ones start buzzing too loud, the OGs are the ones who fold their arms, lean against the wall, and let the silence carry more weight than threats. That is the kind of authority no deputy can issue. But credibility cuts two ways. It can stabilize, or it can suffocate. In the pod, you see both happening at once. One man pushes for structure. Phones get organized into rotations. Meals get timed so every tier eats without chaos. Some inmates even start writing house rules. No stealing, no weapons, no fighting inside the pod. It sounds like order, but it also sounds like control. And control is never neutral in jail. An inmate says it plain. Another convict telling me what to do makes me buck. That's the tension of Day 2. Unlocked doors gave men agency, but authority is a vacuum, and a vacuum never stays empty. The OGs know this better than anyone. They don't need badges. They don't need memos. They need the room to believe they can enforce what nobody else will. The danger is always in the drift. A council formed for peace can tilt into a council for power. A man writing house rules can turn into a man writing checks on other people's lives. The sheriff wanted freedom. But freedom without boundaries can turn into another kind of lockup. And so the pod begins to split. Some see freedom as responsibility. Others see freedom as opportunity. And in the middle are the ones waiting, undecided, watching which current is stronger. It's the same fork in the road every man faces when no one is standing at the door. The sheriff's gamble sharpens. Unlocked doors don't create saints. They reveal choices, and choices reveal teachers. If the ego is the teacher, freedom becomes license. It becomes tax. It becomes hierarchy dressed as respect. If spirit is the teacher, freedom becomes stewardship. It becomes a chance to carry weight for each other instead of pressing it onto each other. You can see both voices alive in the pod. Every stare down at the phones. Every whispered deal in the corner. Every argument that either cools down or catches fire. One OG pulls a younger guy aside before a fight can spark. Another OG starts taxing commissary, reminding everyone he has the muscle to collect. Same age, same authority, two different teachers. The pod is not just deciding who leads. It is deciding what leadership even means. One man says, "This is our house. We ain't letting nobody mess this up." Another says, "This won't last 30 minutes. Both voices are heavy. But they cannot both be right. Freedom is fragile in here. It costs more to maintain than it does to lose. And that is what the OGs know better than anyone. They can carry the room toward calm or push it toward collapse. It depends on which voice they feed. By the end of episode 3, the lines are drawn. Phones are under order, but not peace. Meals are calmer, but not trust. Rules are written, but still on paper, not in hearts. The pod is balancing on the thinnest edge. Unlocked doors did not erase the old order. They amplified it. And amplification always brings truth to the surface. The truth is this. Men will either repeat the same cycles that caged them in the first place, or they will step into something they have never known before. Something like brotherhood. Something like shared responsibility. Something like real freedom. The experiment is no longer about steel. It is about self. Can you run your life without someone running it for you? That is the question echoing off concrete walls now. Tomorrow it sharpens even more. Because the pod does not just need elders. It begins to look for a crown. And when a crown appears in jail, it never sits easy. That crown is not chosen. It is claimed. It is enforced. And it demands loyalty. Episode 4 is waiting at the door. And its name is Pod Daddy.